welcome. My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to Funky Fold Friday. So this is our final card for this week's stamp set of the week, BBQ or BBQ Master, whichever you prefer to call it. It's this 14 image stamped set with dies, so it comes as a bundle should you wish to. And we've had great fun on Monday and Wednesday, but today is using most of the dies. So let me bring in the card. We are going to create a shadow box card. So it sits closed like this in the envelope, and then when it opens up, you have this 3D effect at the bottom or at the back. Okay, so let's bring in our supplies and I can run through them with you. So this is a piece of 5.5 by 10.5 mossy meadow. We're going to score that in a moment. Then I have a base card. This measures 4 inches by 5.5, piece of Designer Series paper. Now this is the Weekend Adventure Designer Series paper, and at recording this video it was on the last chance, so it's a beautiful paper and an ideal opportunity to get it at a really good price. This is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. I have 2 pieces that measure 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 in white, and then I have another piece which is 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so I think that is everything we need to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on this and we're going to do our scoring. So we're going to score on the long side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's going to be 1/2 inch. I'm going to turn it round and then I'm going to score it at the 4 inch mark and the 4.5 inch mark. Okay, and I'm going to score it at the 8 inch mark. So we're going to bring our arm out and move it up to the 8 inch mark. Okay, so we've got 1/2 inch, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, and 8 inches. Okay, so that's all the scoring we're going to do. I'm just going to fold it so that we've got all the score marks folded. What's going to happen is this end here, so that the small edge on the outside is going to come in, tuck in, and will be glued to the short edge here. And the reason I'm doing this now is because I want to show you that we're going to work on this piece here, and we're going to cut a hole out or a square out. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this edge up to the 1 inch mark here. So I'm going to go up here like so, and then I'm going to not use that. I'm going to bring up my cutter and I'm going to bring it up to the 1 inch mark from the top, and I'm going to take it down to the 1 inch mark from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to plug it in and bring it all the way down to my 1 inch mark from the bottom. Okay, I'm then going to do exactly the same. I'm going to turn it round and make this line up to the 1 inch. Just make sure I'm doing it. No, it's too big. It's up to the 1/2 inch. So the score line goes up to the 1/2 inch mark. There we go. Let's make sure we're doing it right up to the 1/2 inch mark. Or if you want to, you're looking at 3.5 here. Okay, so that's the 3.5. You're going to put your marker at the 1 inch again, pop it in, and then bring it down to the 1 inch before the bottom. Now what we need to do is draw a line across here and across here with our scorer. So if we bring this to the 3/4 inch, we should be able to line it up and straight across. Let's just make sure it's white. Tiny bit more. There we go, that's that cross. And then we're going to do exactly the same on here. We're going to put it on the 3/4 inch mark. Am I going to put it? That's 1/2 inch. Let's have a look. Right, we're just going to make sure that whatever happens is these two lines match up. Okay, so let's make sure. No, it needs to be. I haven't come quite down far enough than I thought. Okay. The object of the game is to run them all the way across and line it up. There we go. Now just a tiny bit there and a tiny bit there. So if that is your case, it should be a science, but it's obviously not. You can see if we can bring it up. There we go. On that side, I'm going to line it up with the 1 inch and turn it round. You see it's just coming up. Oh, look at that. And then I just need to cut it on there. You could do it with your scissors, or you could just carry on being brave, lining it up. And there we are, it's come across. So we've now got the hole that we need in the middle. Right, okay. So, as I said, this is the front of when the card opens. So we've got to take our bone folder and score our score lines. So the first one I'm going to score is the hinge. And then bring that one back. Again. Yeah. And then we're going to bring that one back on itself. And score it. Okay, and that is going to help us create the card base. Okay. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to stick the glue onto that bit there. So that's this section here. Now what you could do is you could taper at either end, but the markings are quite good on this, so I'm not really going to have to worry too much. I'm just going to make sure that when I glue it down, that the score line is this, or that bit is this side. Okay, and then we can just make sure that all our lines are burnished. Okay, and then you can do it like that when you glue. So what we're going to do is going to add the glue, run it gently down here. I'm going to take this, fold it over. I'm just going to run my burnished bone folder down there on the glue side. Make sure this is flat, and then I'm going to burnish these ones to make sure that they are in the right place. And also, as long as we do that, it means our card is going to lay flat. There we go. So that is the mechanism so far. Right, let's put that aside for a second. We're going to take our front piece and we're going to pop our Designer Series paper straight on the top. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal for that. Straight down. There we go. Pop that across like so. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the glue on this section. And then we're going to lay this down on top, making sure obviously that our paper, if it's one directional, it goes in the correct direction. Okay, so once we're happy that that has been, it is in place, we can burnish it down. There we go. And then we know it will open for us. There we go. Might take a couple of turns for it to get used to its position, but just keep burnishing it as best you can. So we can lay that down like that. And then you just burnish. Excellent. And then it will stand like that and lay flat. Okay, and you can lay it flat. There we are. Perfect. Right, so the next thing we need is the small piece for the outside. And we're going to ink that up with our early espresso, and we've got the the barbecue itself. I'm going to ink that up, and I'm aiming for it to be slightly towards the bottom. Push down, hold it for a couple of seconds, and bring back up again. There we go, perfectly stamped. Lovely. Right, so what I want to do now is I want to stamp the utensils around the outside. So I've got a mitten, which I'm going to do in Mossy Meadow. I'm going to keep them close-ish to the actual barbecue because I want to get the happy birthday at the top. So I need to leave space for that. So let's do that now so that we're not causing too many issues. So again, that is in early espresso. And that's going to go there. Okay, excuse me. Right, let's bring in the other things I want to add around the outside. So I'm going to bring in the real red, and I'm going to use that at the ketchup bottle. Okay, I can go down there. There's the ketchup bottle. I'm going to use my flame in a second, so I'll use that in a second. Right, in fact, let's do the flame now. Let's pop that aside for 2 seconds. So there is a flame for the barbecue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up in the crushed curry, like so. I'm then going to bring myself a sponge dauber, dip it in the red, and I'm just going to tip it at the bottom of the stamp, not all the way at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp it onto a scrap piece of white, like so. Hold it down, and then we get this beautiful two-toned fire flame. Okay, you'll need to grab your die for that fire flame, add it to there. Oops. And then you can run it through the cut and emboss machine. Right, so let's close the red because we're finished with that now. Okay, I have got crumb cake and some utensils. So I'm going to use the little fork and pop that there. I'm going to take the spatula. Probably won't get it down the bottom there, so let's see what we can do. Pop it down there. And then I've got the tongs, which they could go up there. There we go. Right, so that's all the utensils in there. Let me think. I'm going to leave that out because I'm going to use it again in a moment. Which I will close it before I cause myself an issue. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to stick this onto the front of our card. I'm going to use my multi-purpose to do that. I'll go over the front like so. And what we need to do now is to put our flame on the barbecue. So once you've run it through the cut and emboss machine with your die, it will come out looking like that. And I'm going to stick it up with a dimensional. I'm just going to pop the dimensional on the middle like so. Take my fire and then pop it in place. So that, excuse me, literally is the outside of our card. So what we need to do now is to focus on the inside. So we've got this long piece which will fit inside like so, and what I need to do is I need to stamp that with my sentiment, which I'm going to use. Let's get this out. So I'm going to use the grilling and chilling. And I'm going to take off my barbecue. And I can do the grilling and chilling. and you're looking at that going in the center of your piece of paper. So again, I'm going to use the early espresso. So ink that up. Perfect. And we're aiming for the middle, like so. And there we are. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to put multi-purpose glue on the back of this, because that will give us wriggle room as we slide it down. Okay, so we're literally going to pop it in there. I've got a nasty shadow from the sunshine coming through there. Let's do it this way. There we go. We're going to wriggle it round, make sure it's not too far at the top. Bring it down a bit. Now, if you are confident enough, you can move it. You could put it in before you seal it. Okay, so there we are. We've got grilling and chilling. And so we need to decorate the inside, and that's where our dies come in. We've got a wonderful amount of dies. So let's put my flame back in. So we've got all sorts of things. So we've got a kebab skewer. We've got a fork. That's the actual outline for the barbecue. You've got a sauce bottle. You've got small sausages. You've got a small fork. You've got the spatula and the tongs. You've got the glove and the flames. You've got the all-in-one barbecue kebab. And now we've got all the little bits. So this one gives us, excuse me, gives us the prawns. You've got tomato, you've got mushrooms, you've got onions. So I've got all of those. So we've got the prawn, the tomato, the mushrooms on the kebab steak. I've taken the fork and the large sausage, and I've popped those onto there. And we're going to make up the burger together. So let's bring those bits in. So I've got the top of the bun. I've got cheese. I've got lettuce. I've got the bottom of the bun, and I've got the burger. Now, if you take your sponge dauber and your crumb cake, you can add a little bit of colour to your bun. Take that, and you just pick it up with your fingers. You'll be okay. Just going to go around the top of it like this. Just give it a little bit more of a colour. Hopefully you can see that, and I'm not going out of focus. Let me have a look. Am I going out of focus? No, I'm all right. There we go. Okay, so you've got the colour on the top there. You can do the same. Whoops! As long as you don't throw it across the table. You can do it the same with the bottom of the bun. And it gives it a little bit of colour. You can do that with all your vegetables should you wish to. Okay. Right, excuse me. Now we get to build it. So I brought my glue dots in for that, and my pointy tool. What have I done with that? That's over here. And we're going to pop it together. So let's do it from the ground up. So we've got the base of the bun. Then we need the lettuce. So that's going to go over the top. Like that. Now we can, I wonder if it's easier. No, I'll do my original one, which was do it from the top. So this is the top of our bun. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put a glue dot at the bottom there. Just pick up a glue dot, and I'm just going to pop it in the base, like so. And then I'm going to add my cheese underneath. Okay, so you're going to do your cheese, which goes along there, like so. So there's your cheese. Now if you want to, you can move it down a bit. There we are, or up a bit. So you've got more cheese. Next thing to do is put another glue dot on the cheese. You can, of course, use glue should you wish to. I'm just using glue dots for the quickness. That will then go over my burger. So there you go. You can see I've picked it up like that with my burger. And then I'm going to bring in my lettuce. So the glue dot's going to go on the burger. Let's bring up the lettuce. There we are. Oops. And now we can add our lettuce. So that's going to go right at the end. Just like that. Let's make sure it's glued down. You've got your lettuce in place. And then you can go over your bun. Excuse me. So again, you're going to use another glue dot. And then that will sit on there. And you can add your base of your bun just at the very bottom, like, whoops, so, as long as your finger doesn't pick it up. Oh, look at that, my finger's picked it up. There we go. Right, I'm just going to poke that down with my pointy tool. Come on, lettuce, behave yourself. There we go. Right, and there we have our little, can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. It's not gone into, he's cute, isn't he? Really, really cute. Wonderful. Right, okay, so that is our burger. So all we now need to do is to put them in place, roughly where you'd like them to go. So I think we can probably put a bun there, can't we? So again, you could put another glue dot that goes over, or you could use glue, whichever you prefer. I'm going to use another glue dot. Put my finger underneath, and I'm just going to hold on to it and press. Okay, so there is my burger. We've got our, excuse me, we've got our sausage, which we can add to the inside like that. Again, I'm going to put glue just on the handle and in the middle of the sausage. So down the handle. There we go. Come on. Not too much. You could always use adhesive sheets if that might make your life easier. Right. So we've now got handle and hold down the sausage for a couple of seconds so they're in place. And then the only other thing we need to do now is add the kebab. So we could add the kebab across this way. Actually, that might work, mightn't it? Right, so I'm going to put glue on this part of the shrimp. Tail end of the tomato. The tail of the shrimp, and then the top of the onion. And that should hold it all in place. There we go. Ta-da! Perfect. So that is all in place. And that is our Grillin' to Chillin' Funky Fold shadow card. So there's the one we've just created. And this is the one I did earlier. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. They will lay flat, I promise you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today, or for joining me for this week as well. I hope you liked the BBQ Master stamp set as much as I did. And I hope to catch up with you next week. Take care. Bye.